Hey y'all, Randy here at BNC. You know, we all have expectations. When I go to my car, I expect that when I turn the key, my car is going to start. I expect that when I go to the dishwasher after loading with 30 dishes and starting it and coming back an hour later, I expect there to be clean dishes. When I boot up my computer, I expect the computer to boot up like it's supposed to. But what happens when those expectations aren't met? What happens when those things fail? Right. We get frustrated, maybe feel like we were let down, maybe we even get angry if we're real honest with ourselves. We may even stop trusting those things. But those are just things. What happens when it's people? What happens when people let us down? What happens when what we've expected someone to do and hold up their end of the bargain and they don't? What happens when they don't follow through? And those expectations, even though they're realistic, those expectations aren't met. Right. We get frustrated. We feel let down, angry. But the differences between things and people is that with people, we usually end up feeling hurt. And we can stop trusting people. I've experienced this in my own life. And these stories are just stories that are just too close to share. But there are times that I was let down. What I expected to happen didn't happen. And I was left feeling hurt. And for a while, I had a really hard time trusting people. And what's worse is I had a hard time trusting in God. There is a period of my life that the temptation was to just walk away from Him altogether. But it was at that point that I needed to trust Him the most. Bad things happen. It's a reality of life. People let us down. Things break. Things don't work. And unexpected things happen in our lives that we cannot control. You know what? That happened to Joseph. You know, Joseph was a favorite of Jacob, but his brothers didn't like that, so they threw him into a pit. Then they sold him to a bunch of slaves, and then he was sold into Egypt, and then he raised into power into Potiphar's house in Egypt, and then he was accused of something that he didn't do. And what happened? He was thrown into prison. He probably did not expect that to happen at all. But God was with Joseph all the way through that. God stayed with Joseph, and Joseph trusted in God. He knew that God was in control of the things that Joseph could not control. And the same is true in our lives. What we control is not what happens to us, but what we can control is how we respond to it. And that makes all the difference in the world. We may not know why things are happening, but we definitely know the who, and that's Jesus. When we choose victory through Him in spite of our circumstances, we win every single time. Those are great odds. And it's in those wins that we add to our story of His grace in our lives. This takes an intentional spirit that chooses a response toward Jesus, not away from Him. The very real reality is that in those moments, we can choose to move toward Jesus or away from Him. We alone make that decision. Heaven and hell are in a continuous battle and a fight for you and me. And we alone are the ones that get to decide who wins. That's a little bit of power right there. I choose to choose Jesus. I choose to respond to Him in all the circumstances that happen in my life. And I encourage you guys to do the same. I don't know where this finds you at, but even when you don't understand what's going on, you don't know the why, remember, you know the who. You know the who that promised to be with you no matter what, and that's Jesus. I love you guys. I hope this finds an encouraging note in your life today, wherever you may end up finding this at. Thank you so much for being a part of our BNC family.